Hey guys, it's Sam, and this is my spoiler-free review of The Girl in the Tower by Katherine Arden. This is the second book in the Winter Night trilogy, which is an adult fantasy series based on Russian and Eastern European folklore. If you have not read the first book, which is The Bear and the Nightingale, I will leave my review for that on the screen. This book picks up a little after the events of the first book, and it's following Vasa as she goes out and becomes the traveler that she hopes and aspires to be. So first off, I'm going to talk about the world building. I love the world building in this book of the rich Eastern European folklore and mythology and just the time period that it takes place in as far as the fantasy world that's based in our world, because it's our history, but there's magical stuff mixed into it. So that's really fun. But I didn't find that the magical world was that expanded in this book. What was expanded more so was the political world and what was happening politically during that time and how some of the magical things of this world were affecting some of those political things that were actually happening. I definitely think there will be more hints of magic though in the final book. I'm not saying there was no magic in here, there's actually a lot of magic in here, but it's magic we've already been introduced to and the types of creatures and stuff that we're fairly familiar with. I think that based on some of the hints with this book, some things will get expanded more in the last book. Next, let me talk about the characters. I continue to love Vasa and the fact that we have kind of grown up with her and we've seen her character development. I just really enjoy her and the fact that she is bucking against tradition and there's this whole theme of not wanting to be caged. She's really a character that forges her own path and doesn't rely on anybody else to kind of guide her, and I really appreciate those kinds of characters. There's also the promised tension that was promised in the first book of the tension between her and Morozko, and it is just exactly what I wanted and hoped for. It's that sort of Hades and Persephone, Death and the Maiden kind of story that's more in the Russian and Eastern European folklore mythology kind of thing. It's that version of it, and I just adore it. I adore all that tension. It's just something that is woven throughout. It's not the main plot point at all, but it is a touchstone that the story comes back to, and I just really appreciate their dynamic and the almost forbidden situation that they have going on that they're both very still unsure of. What I really liked about this book is there is a lot more focus on the sibling dynamic between Vasa and the rest of her siblings, well, most specifically two of them. And so there's a lot more sibling dynamic, where the first book I feel like there was some more parental stuff going on with her father and her stepmother and stuff like that. This book is a lot more about the siblings and the fact that they're grown siblings and they're seeing each other as the littler versions of themselves, but they're also seeing what their siblings have grown into, and they've all kind of forged a different path for themselves that the other ones wouldn't have chosen themselves, and just that dynamic is very interesting, but they're also still very loyal to one another, and I just really like what all of these characters have turned into over time. There's also some characters that you might be familiar with from other folklore and mythology if you've read some other books that are based on this. So if you've read Deathless by Catherine M. Valente, for example, there's some more of the things that you see in Deathless in here, which I really like. The more that I read Eastern European folklore-based kind of books, I see a lot of these things that I'm more familiar with. So I feel like I'm almost getting as familiar with some of the more mainstream Russian and Eastern European folklore, almost like Greek mythology, which I feel like a lot of people are very familiar with. I'm starting to get more familiar where I'm seeing things and I'm like, oh, I know what that is, and I don't have to look it up, and that's really fun. So lastly, I'm going to talk about the plot. I still feel like this book had some pacing issues going on. The first book kind of felt like that, where it felt like it sort of dragged at the beginning, and this didn't necessarily drag at the beginning, but there's certain points that it just feel like it dragged a little bit. I will say that I feel like this book has more action than the first book. The first book was a lot of character stuff going on and building that foundation. This has more action and kind of more mystery going on, so that made it move a little bit faster than the first book did. This series definitely slowly builds on itself, and I do appreciate that, but it's just a slower building series. So there's still a lot of things that aren't explained, that are left open, that leave you wondering, which makes me think that the finale is just going to be such a good payoff, because each book just builds on that foundation very slowly, and you're still left with this kind of feeling of mystery and eeriness and unknown, and that just works really well for the atmosphere of this book as well. So I did end up really enjoying this book, and there's still a lot of things I'm looking forward to in the last book. I do plan on doing a full discussion of, I think, this series when I finish it. I'm just kind of leaning more towards doing series discussions than discussions of individual books. At this point right now, I might change that and go back to book, but who knows. So I'm not going to be doing a discussion for this book, but I will for the end of the series, because I'm hoping to finish it this year. I don't own the last book, but who knows? So I end up giving The Girl in the Tower 4 out of 5 stars. So comment down below and let me know what you thought of The Girl in the Tower. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye.